Hello and welcome to the Dreaming and Doing podcast with me, Nicky Raby. I'm an actor, coach, writer, speaker, podcaster and a mum. And in my coaching work, I work with creatives, personal brands, freelancers and small businesses. In my podcast, I talk about success, but not in a traditional sense. I have conversations with those who have built a business from something they love or who have made a pivot in their career. Also those who have built a brand or a job that maybe didn't exist when they were at school and they found a way to monetize their skills, talents and expertise. I've spoken to loads of incredible people, coaches, designers, journalists, app creators, magazine editors, bloggers, content creators, authors, and all-round movers and shakers. I ask the questions that you want to know the answer to. So, how they started, about money, saying no, saying yes, pitching, presenting, putting yourself out there even though it terrifies you, standing out in a busy online world, growing, scaling and making your work for you and your circumstances. The show notes are always at nickyraby.com/podcast and the conversation continues across social media, often on Instagram, my favourite platform, at Nicky Raby. Thanks so much for listening. It's great to have you with us. In today's episode, I'm talking to Eirlie Chisholm, who is the founder and the maker of Overall1516. And she makes amazing, so cute, lovely dungarees for babies and toddlers who wear cloth nappies. And go and have a look at her Instagram and you can see all of her products and what she's created. And she's done so much in such a little time. So I'm really excited for her to share her story today. She's also going to be running a market in the next few days, so do check out the description box and you'll find all the details. And I will probably be there on the Saturday because I'm working on the Thursday and Friday, so please come and say hi if you're there. And it's a really lovely experience in London to take the kids, and there'll be all kinds of stuff ready for Christmas, so it will be really great. Anyway, please, if you've been listening to this, rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. I would love it. And if you do want to leave a review, that would be really helpful as well. I'm so keen to elevate this podcast and take it to all the people that need it most. Not that I'm saving lives by any means, but hopefully by listening, it will provide a source of inspiration, bit of chat while you're cooking the dinner, or some motivating thoughts that will hopefully ignite some of your own ideas as well. As always, please come over to Instagram at Nicky Raby and join in the chat. Here's the episode. Hey Eirlie, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Nicky.
Oh, thanks so much for joining. Can you just tell me about what you do and about your lovely company that you created?
Sure. So I design and manufacture predominantly children's wear. I started making it because I couldn't find clothing that fit my boys when they were wearing their chunky cloth nappies, and it kind of developed from there.
Wicked. And how did it, have you always been in fashion? What's your sort of, your backstory? What's your journey?
Oh, my journey. Yes, always fashion. I studied fashion straight after high school. And worked in different jobs doing like design and production, from like streetwear to kind of high-end fashion in Australia. And then I moved over to London almost 6 years ago now, and I worked at Reese. I did quality control there, and then I fell pregnant with my first boy, and kind of come back into making and doing everything now.
Yeah, and also this has been over such a short period of time where you've just grown it really quickly and just become a brand, as it were. It's brilliant. But how did you? Because I guess also we all think that, I don't know, we can all do these things. Like it's really annoying that I once one year got into crocheting and I could just about do this one step or this one stitch or whatever. I see, this is the thing, whatever it's called. And then people started buying me books of like how to make finger puppets, and I was like, oh, I can't do that. But it's annoying when you can't. But I guess in something like fashion, where everybody thinks they can do it, or print something on a t-shirt, how did you start to put the wheels in motion of making something really different?
Yeah, it's funny because so many people want to be designers, and even in college, people are like, I want to be a designer, I want to be a fashion designer, and they would just get pictures from magazines and make the same thing again. I was like, well, that's not really, I don't know. I always really liked the technical side of fashion, so I really kind of, people either like science at all, but I really get things like how a garment fits on a body and how it should be, and I can visualize it in 3D before I can kind of, before it exists. So that's kind of one thing that I've always really enjoyed, and it's a thing that's kind of the nerdier side of fashion, is the pattern cutting aspect and the fit aspect. So that's something that I've always drawn to, and I've done that throughout my career as well as like freelance. So that kind of kept me going a bit. And I guess I wanted to make something different because, fashion is like pretty saturated. So when I had this issue, I thought, well, I'm going to find and do it in a way that nobody else does it.
How did you go about creating something that was different, that was going to stand out in the market and be something that people go, oh, I haven't seen that before?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, basically, I just couldn't find exactly what I wanted. And I thought, there's plenty of, within like dressing children for cloth nappies, this comes up a lot in like cloth nappy forums and that kind of thing. Oh, what are the best brands that are cut for cloth nappies? And all of them, people suggest children wear leggings because they're very stretchy. And that's fine. But, in London, you're, playing outside in the winter, crawling around a concrete playground, leggings don't really like stand up to it. So I was having trouble finding what I wanted, and I just thought, look, I'm going to try and make it myself. And I think I just had the confidence of, well, I know I've been working in fashion for, I don't know how old I am, like long enough, that I've experienced all these elements and putting all this together, and I felt like it was quite a logical step for me.
Yeah, and how did you have any sort of rules, I guess, of like the tick boxes of the things that you wanted it to be? Because I know you have a real sustainability element, and tell me about sort of the importance of the story and your own set of rules.
Yeah, well, I want it to be, it always has to be something that lasts. I'm a big fan of, like, I've always shopped in vintage shops. I'm a big believer in not buying into trends. Like, I appreciate a trend, but I also just like investing in pieces and liking them because you personally like them rather than being dictated like this is what's cool right now.
Yeah, so certainly I've worn a lot of trends that I should never ever have worn in my life. When you're like, why am I wearing a see-through camouflage shirt with like a beige bra underneath? Because that was 1995, people.
And I think when you're like buying things for children in particular, like they grow so quickly. So I really liked the idea of creating like a solid basic that you can buy for one child and pass on to the next one. And I'm very big believer in gender neutral or gender free dressing for children, because like back to my background of fitting garments, and children aren't any different in body shape at that age. So there's no need for children to have boys' clothes or girls' clothes in that respect. Yeah,
no, I was just going to say that is such a good point of we can be so limited, and this is such an interesting conversation at the moment of, I was determined when I knew that I was having a boy, like, oh, I'm not gonna just dress him in fire engines and trucks and diggers and all that sort of stuff. But unfortunately, that is all the stuff that he likes.
It's hard to avoid. It really, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I said to him the other day, because we're trying to get a new coat for him, because the other one just looks like he's been down some kind of mine in it, because it's absolutely disgusting at all times, which is absolutely fine, because I want him to get messy and have a great time.
Yeah,
and I was having to show him a few coats, like, which is now what I'm trying to do by showing him, like, oh, what do you think about this one, and getting his opinion. Yeah. And he just looks at this blue coat and he went, no, this hasn't got any of the things that I like. Fire engine stick, and he listed them all as if to say, like, what are you doing? What are these fashion choices that you're offering me, Mum? They're not doing anything.
No.
But so I guess, how did you start the process? I mean, for people who are thinking, I quite fancy doing that, what was the first thing that you did?
The first thing I did was I just started making samples. I got cheap fabric, usually like calico, because it's just like white cotton and you can see the design quite easily. You don't get distracted with prints or whatever. And I just started, cutting out shapes and making them and putting them on Casper, who was, I think he was about 3 months old when I started. So fitting them on him and, and then it just kind of, once I got the cut right, I was kind of still sourcing fabrics at that time, and ideally I'd like to use, I use 100% cotton. I'd like to use organic, but it's very expensive, and at the moment I don't have the kind of purchasing power of buying like huge minimums to kind of make it affordable. Yeah. I just started like just experimenting with different fabrics. I only do like one cut essentially, so it's supposed to be like a really simple brand where, you know, you get the shape and then you can choose your different fabrics, and that's where the interesting kind of part comes in. So I really just had to nail that one cut and make sure it fits every size. And then I started like sourcing different things like hardware, I have certain things where all my metal hardware is black metal, all my stitching is black, all my top stitching, that's like a signature of all my garments, and that just makes it really simple as well. It's like just a simple production process then too. I don't need to be matching all different threads, so it's like a lot of it is just my wanting to keep things simple.
Yeah, but you're right, because actually sometimes I think that we can all try and be too bespoke for all these things, and actually if I'm looking at something, you know, when you kind of, I don't know, thinking about a sofa, and it's like you can get it in these fabrics with these legs and this kind of consistency of cushion, and I'm just kind of want to say to the person, can you just show me something that I'll like, so I don't have to make the decision. But I think that's really lovely for you as a designer, because people will have that confidence in you of like, I am showing you what works. I am showing you how this can kind of come to life, which is great. How important has social media been for you? How have you used that, and what's really worked for you?
Social media has been huge for me because it's been a way of getting the brand out to people I have no budget. I was just thinking the other day how I don't even have a budget to pay myself, let alone pay for any like advertising or anything. Yeah. But social media is, when I say social media, I'm talking about Instagram, because I really enjoy Instagram anyway, so I find it really easy to chat on there. And it's a really nice way to kind of invite people in to see what I'm doing. It's been amazing for me. I think I launched my account at the start in January, and Annie Ridout from the Early Hour mentioned me very early on, and I think I went from having 50 followers to 200, and that was amazing. I think my mum was watching the count go up. It was quite thrilling.
It's so nice when like a member of your family come on board and they're like, I'm on the Instagram, and you're like, wow. What? I mean, my mum actually hadn't listened to the podcast for a while, and she was like, can you just put some like of the new episodes? Can you just do all of them? I'm like, well, how far back do you want me to... Can you go back to March? And you're like, okay, here's 62 episodes that are going to clog up your iPad. You want that? I'll give it to you. And also, like, markets as well. I've seen you at various things. what does that sort of bring to your business and your brand, and how can that be really helpful?
I think the funny thing about markets is I've done two. The first one I ever did, I think, was in March, and I think I kind of gained more from that in terms of meeting other makers, and that kind of creative support network. Then I didn't make any sales. But yeah, I made these amazing connections with people, and that was so valuable. And also, people that did see my stall have gone on to become customers since then. So it's a marketing thing as well. But yeah, I'm pretty new to the market scene. But every one I've done, each of the ones that I've done, I've met brilliant people that also have businesses, and it's just been a really nice networking thing. And I think, especially because I don't ever get out, it's a really nice way to just get out and talk to other adults that have businesses. It's really quite a treat.
Yeah, because I think also the entrepreneur life, or the fashion designer life, can sometimes be painted as this like really glamorous thing, but we know better behind the scenes that sometimes it's like, oh my goodness, I'm working late, or I'm doing this and this, and a lot of it is just sitting at your laptop or sitting at your sewing machine and churning the things out that there's a lot of kind of grind to it as well. And how have you managed all this with kids, and are there things that you do on a day-to-day basis which have really helped you? Because I can't listen to any more of those like, my kids just play nicely while I run a multi-international business, and because my kid, he does play nicely, but for about 3.5 minutes, and then remembers he needs to ask me something very important. So, how have you done it, or how are you doing it?
Well, at the moment I feel like I'm not doing it so much. I used to, my boys, up until recently, they were just doing 2 days a week of nursery, and that was pretty tough. But they would sleep quite well, so I would kind of, from about 8 o'clock till midnight, I would work every night, and then often in the day I would actually nap to kind of balance things out, because I just found I was much better at, and they were napping too, so we'd all nap together. Just go and have a nap while they
Mummy's going upstairs for a while, see ya.
But now they don't sleep, so they're quite anxious. So the last few weeks in particular have been really hard, because I haven't had my few hours every night, because that really adds up, those few hours. So it's been tricky, but I try and kind of, to manage things, I get food delivered and all that kind of stuff. So I try and like simplify things, and I spend more money than I probably have the budget to do, but that gives me that little bit of extra time to kind of allocate to the business, because I don't have to think about what we're going to eat, because the meals are kind of, coming, and just little things like that. So at the moment I don't really have any brilliant tips, because it's not going, as well as
you're saying your life isn't perfect? No way.
Yeah.
I think that's so, there's such a good point there, that sometimes you just have to do things to be in that survival mode and get stuff done. So that time where I'll have busy times with work or whatever, and I'm not doing all of the things, or like I think I did a post on Instagram the other day that I wasn't feeling like exciting mummy that day, because I was just shattered, and I had a lot of stuff to do, and my boy had not been sleeping that well, and it's really hard when that is the case and that's going on. But do you know what? Sometimes that's okay, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel and produce something amazing or different every night. Sometimes it's like we all need to get fed so we can all go to bed and hopefully all get some kick.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you so I guess what are your plans for the next few years in terms of the brand, and where do you want to take it, and what do you want to do?
Well, ideally I want to be stocked all over Europe. That's my plan, is to get into wholesale. I've got one wholesale shop at the moment in Dorset, and she's absolutely lovely. It's in stocked in a shop that sells like cloth nappies, and it's all that kind of stuff, which I'm really like just really pleased that my products are in there, because I would love for them to be in a fashion kids shop as well, but because that's where I began and the source of kind of the inspiration for the brand, I'm really happy that it's there. So yeah, I just want to be all over Europe. I think that's the plan.
Yeah. And how exciting though that already, and I think this is a really good takeaway for people, is that you just got to keep focused on what it is that you want and really knowing that it can be possible. And sometimes you can just have a phone call or a conversation with somebody, and then suddenly the next door is opened, and then suddenly things become a bit easier, and it's great. And yeah, happy days. Tell us about the market that you're doing next week. It's next week or this week? Or share the date.
This oh gosh, the date. It's the 29th of November to the 1st of December. And from doing the markets, I've really got that taste for talking to customers. Like, I really enjoy it. And so I thought, I really want to just get out there with my stuff and chat to people. And also it's kind of like an excuse to get together with a ton of other brands. I basically just went through my Instagram and listed all my favorite brands and contacted them, and they pretty much all said yes. So I've got about 20 brands, and they're kind of across like fashion and homewares, interiors, like textiles, stationery. I'm actually a bit intimidated by the brands that said yes. I'm like, oh, did they know? I don't know. It's quite cool. So I'm like taking up residence in this cool little workshop in Shoreditch, and I'm doing classes, doing workshops on sashiko repair, like hand stitching, because I've got a sashiko kit and I want to show people how to do that. I've had a few requests about workshops, so I thought, I'll put one on as well. And then on the Friday morning, we've got a weaving workshop, and on the Saturday morning, and I think Saturday afternoon as well, we've got a puppet making workshop with Rox from a brand called Young Double. She's brilliant. She does really cool screen printed stuff and just like crafty things. So she's running workshops. So yeah, that should be a bit more of a family day. So I'm hoping like the mums and dads get out on the Thursday and Friday and have a chat, and we'll have some nice treats in the shop as well, and have a Christmas kind of browse. Yeah.
What's worked really well in terms of logistics and pulling those people together? Because I think sometimes we all think like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to put on an event? But actually sometimes it can be quite a lot of work bringing it all together. So what's helped you to do that?
Yeah, Nikki, I really didn't think it was going to be so much work. I've put on events before, but it's kept me quite busy actually. And I think because I initially thought there'd be a couple of brands and more people said yes than I expected. So, which is brilliant. But I'm sending lots more emails than I normally do.
Totally.
I don't know if I have any answers to that. But I think I think it's really nice that people have actually just said yes as well, and it kind of has shown me just not to be afraid to, if you have an idea and a bit of a plan, to just try it out.
Yes, and
just go for it, because I think that's been my whole business as well. Has been a bit like I've kind of felt like I've got nothing to lose, and I think that lack of things. How do you say that? I don't know. That's what's kept me going in a way, because I haven't had very far to fall, so I might as well go for it.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes we can put all those excuses in place and sometimes when my back is against the wall and I'm like, oh, I've actually got to make this work, or I've got to work towards this deadline, that's when everything just sort of has to come together, because it's a sink or swim kind of situation, I guess. If people want to come and find more and come and follow you and see your gorgeous products, where should they go?
You can see my website is Overall1516.com, and my Instagram is just at Overall1516, and I will have lots of information on both those places for the workshops and for the pop-up in general. And also, people will have a chance to win some gift vouchers if they have a look on my Instagram as well. They'll see a post about that for the pop-up shop.
So, Happy Christmas to mums and dads.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it all starts, doesn't it, of like trying to create all these things, but sometimes actually I just want a hot cup of tea and a sit down. I think my Christmas wish list is quite low, just to have a bit of, I don't need anything in a big box that I'm going to have to deal with. It'll just be nice to chill out in that way. Well, thank you so much. We're going to try and come down and see you and do all of that, and I'm sure there'll be some sort of cakes and all the rest of it, which my boy will absolutely love. Now he's started to figure out his day trips around his snacks that he's going to partake in.
Oh, I know. That's what it's always cake. I always have to say there's going to be cake. Otherwise, no one wants to come.
Yeah.
It's a standard ride.
Yeah, people who are tired parents who are craving the sugar and the caffeine, like, quick, come in. But thank you so much for being such a brilliant guest and sharing your story. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Nikki. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it, and I would love to hear what you thought of the episode and share any takeaways with me. Come and find me across social media at Nicky Raby, or you can visit the podcast page, nickyraby.com/podcast.